Are you rhythmically challenged like myself? Do you struggle to coordinate your limbs into anything resembling a dance? Have you tried Crypt of the NecroDancer and said, boy, this is a ton of fun, but I suck ass. There's no way I can get through 5 zones in a row of this game. Well, I also felt that way, but now look at me! These tips and tricks are for players who are struggling to make progress, and they apply to any character that's not restricted in their arsenal. Before we start, there's an absolutely mandatory step, and that's to calibrate the game properly. Go to this option right here. Even if you've already done it, I went through the calibration and I thought I did it right, but I kept missing beats and I couldn't tell why. So I went through the calibration again, and I got entirely different values. I didn't miss nearly as many beats from that point forward, so keep doing it until you feel it's just right. Officially, this is to adjust the latency of your electronics, but the real purpose is to calibrate the response time of your dumbass nervous system from hearing the beat to pressing the buttons. These are my delays. Does that make me into a senile boomer? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so now that's done, I'll give you the most important, indispensable bit of advice, and that's to keep trying. Don't despair. It's hard to think of any other roguelike out there where pattern recognition is more important. You can know every secret in the game, you can memorize what every shrine does and which are the optimal choice for you, but without learning the enemy patterns, you are going to have a bad time. So there's no substitute for simply throwing yourself at the brick wall. The game expects you to restart right away, it's baked into the design, so just embrace it as part of the fun. There are a lot of training modes, and I encourage you to use them if you're really struggling with a particular enemy, but I find these super boring in any game, and I'd rather brute force my way through, like I do at the brothel every night. It's going to feel like you're not making any progress, but you truly are. It's simply more incremental than usual, kind of like learning to play an instrument rather than playing a game. And eventually, you'll stop missing beats as the tempo of each level becomes muscle memory, even those groovy tracks in Fungus Land that always throw me off. All that said, there will be situations where there's just too much going on, and because you must act to the beat no matter what, you'll get mind-flooded and damage will be inevitable, and that's why you and I must always get reliable healing. Is it a crutch? Yes, but we're trying to dance with a broken leg. We need a crutch. There are only 3 sources of periodic healing in the game. Blood weapons and the Thorn Crown, which will heal you every 10 kills. If you manage to get both, then procs every 5 kills. A healing spell also works, but it's a rare find. It's only available every 15 kills, and you have to actively use it. It's the lesser option. If you get any of these, though, you can forego the other sources of healing, depending on how much you're struggling. But honestly, I don't think there is such a thing as too much healing in a NecroDancer run. It's the #1 way to palliate all those tragically inevitable mistakes you're going to make. Another way to palliate mistakes is to stick to straightforward, reliable weapons. Listen, I love flailing past enemies as much as the next dude, but if we want to make consistent progress, us smooth-brained criminals need to take complexity out of the equation. Stick to spears, longswords, rapiers, tridents, and bows. Broadswords are acceptable, but the wide sweep will catch you off guard in crowded spaces and can even stun lock you in a corner if you get ambushed by shielded enemies. The trident and bow are outright overpowered, always grab their blood variant, but they are quite rare. Rapiers are my personal bread and butter. They always seem to pop up, they are predictable, and give you double damage on a lunge, which is extra useful since greedy items are not worth it for our skill level. It took me forever to internalize this. There's a lot of equipment that my brain is too slow to use properly. Glass weapons and armor, powerful items with a fat downside, altars of dubious value, anything with a question mark. High-skilled people may swear by these items, but we are not that. You will take damage, and it'll leave you with broken glass in your hands, your eyeballs, and your heart. The only reason to take glass items is because you literally have nothing else to use, except glass jaw. If you take that, it's a guaranteed loss. The big downsides like complete darkness and offbeat rhythm end up getting me killed about 10 times out of 10, as does the extra damage received from the Karateka chess piece. Yeah, all that extra damage is so great, but always remember, there are literal hundreds of enemies and only one of you. 2020 taught us that it takes a single bad situation with a bat and a pangolin to bring about the end times. The only downside item I'd be willing to take is sunglasses. It's not that bad because you can still tell which variety of enemy it is by the color of the eyes, but it's still not something I take over most other helmets, because anything that impairs your vision and makes higher demands of your reaction time is a bad idea. It's already hard enough to spare the attention span to always pay attention to the walls. See this glinting pixel right here? That's a pile of gold waiting for you. See this cracked wall? There's a portal shop waiting for you. A single blot shop can make your run. Just don't get greedy and leave yourself a half a heart. This ain't the Binding of Isaac. There are multiple hidden rooms in every level, and you can often spot them because the wall is shaped like this instead of the usual. Half the secret rooms will be garbage, but the other half will often contain chests and extremely useful items, not least of which will be bombs to break open barrels and crates and outdoors. Wow. Special mention to the perfect square of fortified walls. If you can get in there by shovel or bomb or dragon, you'll be rewarded by a full extra life. In fact, finding all these things is so important that you should never underestimate vision upgrades. You know how early on in games you always want to get the upgrades that give you more resources over time, so the compound interest makes you rich later on? That's what vision is in NecroDancer. Big torches will show you where the secret rooms are. The rope candle will reveal every wall, which is massive. The monocle will reveal every item on the map, making it the best head item in the game as far as I'm concerned. I can't stress this enough. The back rooms and discoveries will often outperform the shop when it comes to making your run better. Speaking of making your run better, did you know that you don't need to kill everything? Roguelikes have taught us to commit indiscriminate genocide to maximize progress, but there are no experience points to be had here, and rewards inside regular rooms are seldom worth the pain. Obviously, you need to kill anyone you aggro so you don't get mobbed later on, but there are only two reasons to go out of your way to find more enemies: gold and getting kills to heal up. Healing up is a fine pursuit, and you should know inanimate objects like mushrooms and braziers. Braziers? Braziers? Braziers?
Brazier.
Brazier. Inanimate objects like mushrooms and braziers count as kills. But gold is only an issue in the first couple zones. Soon you'll have more than you could spend, and there's no other benefit to having it, so piling up the cash is only for your score at the end, and who the hell cares about that? We're just trying to beat the freaking game.
There's nothing here but worthless gold!
This may sound obvious to some of you, but personally I had to retrain my gamer brain to stop lustily hunting down every coin I could find once I was past zone 2. This changing policy will help you out if you find yourself running out of song all the time, and it has certainly saved my life more than once, because some areas are nuts with tons of enemies at the same time. And when you get in those situations, it helps to break busy rooms apart by hopping away. It is so fun to jump in, weapon swinging wildly, a machine of dancing death. But I'm not good enough, and it just gets me killed. Survival rate improved dramatically once I learned to run away. It truly is not cowardice, it's a tactical retreat. The faster enemies will leave the slow ones behind, and you'll be able to pick them apart one by one. Get used to hopping back and forth and let the enemies come to you. Specifically, when you are killing dragons. Dragons may be the most common mini-boss in this game, so you really should have a plan when they show up. Green dragons are pushovers, they are not a big deal, but the moment you hear that wall-crushing stomp, you need to figure out where it's coming from, because a red or blue dragon will obliterate you if they catch you from either side. Especially the blue dragon's breath, they'll stun lock you and it's just game over. You always want to be either above or below. Don't run away horizontally from a red dragon. Their fireball has infinite range. If you absolutely must, you need to use a zigzag pattern so you don't get roasted. Once you're in a good position, then attack, move, until it's done. If you run out of room and need to reverse direction, attack one last time, move horizontally, then move vertically right away to avoid the dragon breath. Get back in range and repeat until it's dead. Golden dragons subvert this pattern by blocking your path with magical walls, but they're actually super easy because they have no other attacks. Simply change the pattern so you're going in a tight square like this. You can also use a red dragon's fireball to activate fire altars or even murder shopkeepers. These are super greedy moves that are likely to get you killed. And that just about does it. There are many more granular things you're going to learn as you go, but with all these general strategies and tactics, you'll have the whole crypt dancing to the beat of your own drum in no time. Or maybe not, maybe you'll never be good enough and you'll have to content yourself playing lame-ass bard. LOL!
You sure didn't, must be kidding, now you can't make a peep. Fortissimole in these streets, yeah, all for the cause. From the window to the walls, see victory is not yours. I came for the blows of applause, and